between now and the end of the season.
Nathan mentioned it, Cristian Romero's comments that he made after that draw against Manchester City have made headlines. So he said, great effort from all my teammates yesterday. They're incredible. I wanted to be available to help them even though I wasn't feeling very well, especially since we only had 11 players available. Unbelievable, but true and disgraceful. We'll keep showing up and taking responsibility to turn this around, working hard and staying together. All that's left is to thank all of you for being there and for always supporting us. Now, this isn't the first time that Romero has hit out pretty much at the board. At January, he said after that 3-2 loss against Bournemouth, posts other people only show up when things are going well to tell a few lies. After we saw Thomas Frank appointed in his post for Ange Postecoglou, saying paved the way despite the many obstacles that always existed and always will. And you go back to 2024, he criticised the lack of spending at Spurs, saying it's always the same. First the players, then the coaching staff changes, and it's always the same people responsible. Thomas Frank was, of course, asked about this today.
Leadership is many things. Leadership is, I'm 52 years old. I think I'm pretty good at leadership. Can I get better every single day? Yes. Do I make mistakes? Maybe not every single day, but probably weekly. Romero is 27 years old. He will still make mistakes going forward as a leader. Does he do a lot of good things? Yes.
Instead of making a mistake, don't make the same mistake twice. And where do you draw the line?
I think sometimes someone do more than one mistake, and we've dealt with it internally.
Does that actually matter to you, whether he's happy or not with the club, the overarching employers that pay him his wages? As long as he's playing well on the pitch, why does it? We could all be sitting here and with our bosses, but still doing our jobs to the best of our ability. Does it matter to you?
I think if you're generalizing, I think as long as everyone do their job, then it's fair enough that, you know, I'm pretty sure there's also some players that don't think I'm the best bloke or whatever it is. As long as they work hard and do everything they can on the pitch, then I'm happy. Is the feeling better? Is everyone is aligned and happy and everyone likes each other? Probably, but it's all about the performances on the pitch.
Nathan, when you were captain of QPR, would you have gone down this route?
So this is a good question, actually, just because I think in this particular instance, all the stuff that he said, I think it's very hard to say that it's not true. But I think you can see that there's a breakdown between himself and, say, the ownership of the club. Not necessarily the manager, not the people he sees on a day-to-day basis, but the people who are almost like dictating which way the club is going, which direction it's going in. And to be outspoken like this is very, it's very strong. Most people won't speak in that manner, but he also knows himself that he has the leverage. He's the captain of the football club and one of the most important players. And the stuff that he's saying, he knows the fans will be right behind him because the fans themselves, they also have issues with the ownership group. You know, obviously previously with Joe Lewis and previous guys and so on, but he has that leverage. And as I say, it's interesting because I doubt that what he's saying on social media isn't what he's saying behind closed doors. And I think some of the posts that he's put forward, a lot of his squad mates have been sort of liking those posts and engaging with it from that standpoint, because it's very easy to not like something and just move on from it. So I personally wouldn't necessarily have done that out in the open, but I've had discussions behind the scenes. And just going from how I view him, I think he's probably spoken like this to the manager and maybe at times gone directly to the board as well. And ultimately, he's not concerned about the punishment anymore, because what they're going to do, are they going to sell him? Well, if they sell him, then that just brings even more trouble to the people up top, and I'm sure you find plenty of places to go as well.
What's his biggest beef here? I'm slightly confused with the message. Is his biggest beef they're not buying good enough players, or is his biggest beef the size of the squad, particularly in the Man City game and the bench?
I think that they didn't beef up in January. I suppose because of all the injuries they've got. You look to the fact that.
Let me just read you the Man City quickly. This is not even on the bench, because on the bench was Odebert, Sarr, Matthias Tel, who come on. Richarlison injured. Richarlison, Maddison, Bergvall, Bentancur, Davies, Kulusevski, Spence, Danzo, Van de Ven, Kudos, Porro. Pretty much all first teamers. So that's not controlled by the board when all these players are injured.
But the board are aware that all those players are injured.
And they were also able to put out a relatively strong side against Spurs. First 11, not perfect, but relatively strong.
Against City, sorry.
The bench, not so much. I get that. But here's one of the problems. That's a lot of players to come back fit again at some point. So it's not always as easy just to go out. They brought Gallagher in, but there's not always as easy to go out and say, we'll bring another 4 in January, and then this lot come back. You have budgets, you have wage structures. So I don't agree with the way the Spurs board and Daniel Levy have run the footballing side of things, but it's not as simple as just saying, we have 11, 12 first teamers injured, which they have. We need to go out and buy 4 players, because then you're stuck with all these guys in a humongous squad and a huge wage bill. And by the way, if he's worried about when his mate Van de Ven's out and others, maybe he could stay on the pitch a little bit more, Stevie, and 100%. Not be suspended.
100%. Listen, I don't get where players, and I don't care what area you play in, you're paid to play. And right now, Spurs, regardless of who's on the field or not, are struggling on the field. I think you should concentrate on doing your job properly, because he's not doing his job properly. And the other thing, he's talking about, well, it's always the same here. It didn't stop him signing his new contract 18 months ago.
Should Frank have been more, should he be stronger disciplinary with him? Should he be suspended for this game, for coming out and saying these sort of things?
No, you can't. You can't.
Well, he hasn't said the manager's terrible, is he?
You can't cut your, but you can't cut your nose off to spite your face.
Yeah.
You know, if everybody's fit and if you've got somebody as good as the player you want to suspend, then on you go. Get after it. But sometimes you've got to just try and figure it out, and it's damage limitation, to be quite honest with you, because you can't afford the effect. You know, if you drop Romero, then what you're doing is you're affecting the other 10 or the other 11 that are going to start. But also you can't be seen not to be doing anything. And there's no question when one of your players speaks out against up the stairs, it reflects on you. So he's saying we dealt with it internally. I would love to know what he did, but he's stuck right in the middle, because he's got to make sure up the stairs are still with him, but he can't afford to get rid of Romero because he needs him.
By the way, and all those players that are on the injured list, a big chunk of them, I mean, Kulusevski and others have been out for a while, a big chunk of them have been available for the bulk of the season when Romero's been fit and playing, and the results were equally as bad. But I didn't hear him come out then and saying, he never came out then and said, well, this isn't good enough with the squad we've got. Because I think he knows deep down there is an issue with the board, but I think deep down it's a sort of thinly veiled pop at the manager as well, because I think he knows, while Spurs are not a great side, when most of those players are fit, they're certainly a better side than the results have shown, and that's pretty much on the manager.
We will, of course, be looking back at that game on the next edition of the show. It's the early start, isn't it? It's the early game.
It is, yes.
Be sure to join us. Slight time change. We're live at 2:30 tomorrow on ESPN+.